and it was again a strong political drive for it, but also a new chief exec coming in as well, who had a real told the story about how he went for his first interview at Croydon and said, Michael, you know, about the interview, he sent me the vision. I had to send him, right, well, I'll change when I get into if and when I get into post. So Croydon's obviously an interesting place in that it has, you know, it has a bit of an image problem in many people, which I think is fair. I used to work there, it's where I can talk to the base. I worked there for a long time. It's got some very good points to it as well. And actually, again, interesting in terms of the Peter, for example, is that Croydon's one of these, you know, it's a place that's talked a lot about aspirations as a the third city of London. There's a sense that Croydon's amazing potential to be fantastic at something, but it's not quite sure what it wants to be fantastic at. So it was almost that. So the basic brief was, right, we're going to create this 30-year vision to define the sort of place we want Croydon to be. And in terms of the challenge of it, it's obviously, in terms of, like I said, basically we want everyone to be engaged, the residents of Croydon in creating this. It's obviously an incredibly vague thing to do so, because it's very difficult to make it meaningful to the vast majority of people on the street. It's also, again, sort of similar to some of the Peterborough stuff. Croydon's definitely not one place in itself. You goes to Croydon, actually, it's borough. I think it has, from memory, some of, if not the richest postcode in the UK, down sort of Kirby, Coulston Way, and they absolutely don't see themselves as part of Croydon, or the authority very much sees themselves as part of it. Obviously, that differs at different levels. So we had the challenge. I'm not by any means saying we cracked it completely, but I think some of the ways in which we tried to overcome it was one in terms of that almost overcoming that sort of vagueness. How do you get people focusing on the future rather than focusing on the way they see things now, problems, and so on and so forth. So just actually the way that we framed some of the questions. It was one of the simple response questions we had, which did success. We got thousands and thousands of people, schools, and people ordinarily who, colleagues of course are hard to reach, who've never sort of engaged in such things, really interested by this simple question of if you were on holiday in 30 years' time, you met someone, how would you like to be able to describe Croydon to them? And it was very simple, but it really it actually managed to phrase it in such a way that people could imagine themselves in that conversation, telling that story almost to someone that they've met. Another big sort of, I think probably the most successful aspect of it was they said that Croydon said they were very, very keen to get young people to use part of this. And again, they had a youth council who were great, and they had some really enthusiastic young people. But they really wanted to it was very much just a vision for the young people of Croydon. So how do we really reach into schools and youth clubs and into all the all the different groups of young people. So we thought we racked our brains and thought, okay, how can we make sort of discussion groups interesting, or can we go out and do some kind of really cool flash mob that's going to somehow make this cool? And we basically thought actually it was very, very difficult to make some of the stuff interesting. So what we did was we created with some help of basically a couple of geeky games people who specialised in role-playing games, online role-playing games. We created something called Croydon 2040, which was basically an online strategy game. We basically pitched teams of young people against each other, sort of a less visual version of SimCity, if anyone's ever played it. And basically you had teams of young people competing against each other, each in charge of their own fictional Croydon, and they were given a bunch of scenarios over a 10-year period, which were big issues being tackled in Croydon at that time. And basically, depending on how they answered those, their town or city developed in different ways. They got points, they got league tables, so ranked in schools against each other. So, and they had to justify their decisions. Why was it, as a team, as a council, they were deciding to implement a congestion charge in a low price congestion charge in Croydon, or flatten the city centre and start from scratch, or whatever else. And basically, it was just the richness of the information we got back just from the conversations of taking take place in schools, where they presented at assembly because they got bonus points for bringing other parts of the school in, was just so far away better than anything we ever could have gone from sort of going in schools and sort of facilitating discussion groups or whatever else, because it was with such enthusiasm that they sort of jumped on board. I suppose the final sort of learning or school probably success point from it. It's not rocket science, but it's something I've become quite obsessed with since I came into building council. Was this idea of how do we got all these rich views? How do we get we were just a bunch of consultants being paid, come in and deliver this sort of set piece engagement and vision. How do we get the organisation as a whole to engage us on any level? And I think we probably could have done it better, but I think what we tried to do was really sort of bring the issues to life, a report on a table, no matter how vivid and colourful it is, it's not going to do anything. But we did a lot of use of vox pops and videos, bringing local people actually into visioning workshops with senior middle managers, to actually really get them to tell the stories about how they wanted their point to be. I mean, this is, in terms of just quickly on my Camden experience, like when I was a consultant, it all looked incredibly easy. I just thought, why are local authorities failing to do what is so incredibly obvious? These ways they should be engaging, the ways they should be incorporating views and tapping into resources and talent. And it's actually bloody hard. Before people from local authorities will know that. It's been fascinating for me. I couldn't wait to get into it. That's why I went for the role, because I thought, right, it's a chance to really get in there and sort of help to shape the way an organisation approaches this stuff. And I just find it fascinating hearing all things today. I'm looking forward to having discussions about it. Is almost why is it that we find it so difficult to crack these myths, to do almost what we know on an intellectual level is the right way to do things. So the sort of thing I've become slightly obsessed with is not so much about actually innovative ways to engage, although we actually one of the first things I did with Nick, the point example called Camden Mill, which we now do in Camden, which we're in the middle of at the moment. And actually focus more on how is it that you actually get middle managers, senior managers to take on board the views of local people, but actually recognise, it's saying, repeating a lot of what's been said, actually that the talents and ideas of local people is actually not something to hold back and restrain from the gates. It's something incredibly powerful that we can utilise. And obviously, if people are familiar with Camden as a borough, we could not be more lucky in terms of what we have on our doorstep. From just hearing you introduce yourself, we have I should know, I think it's 4 or 5 universities where there are literally tens of thousands of students studying every year who would love nothing better than to come together, or some of them anyway, and help us sort of solve some of the issues, help us sort of, you put their intellectual brain power, some of the things that, whether it's child poverty or whatever else that we're trying to tackle in Camden. We've got Google moving in, they just announced they want to move in, and they want nothing better. It's what we're going to do with them to basically get us to give them our data and them to help us, whether they're doing it for the right reasons or not, in a sense, to help us basically to use it better, to grab it, to use our data to actually, whether it's understand better how we can plot our street cleaning routes through to understanding why is it that that we've been grappling with recently, why is it that attainment in Camden, our schools are incredibly high achieving, but our attainment of our actual students is not quite as high as our schools. How can we make sure young people are achieving as high as our schools are? And it's really, really difficult because people talk about stories, people do. We know that when we go out and talk to people, residents deal in stories, people deal in stories, but we deal in quite distinct service areas which are not particularly flexible, and it's why I'm also really interested in I don't think, I've learned some things, but I think I'm just, as a borough and as an individual, so far from cracking, it's how within that sort of structure of a local authority, how we can be open to just literally the concept of someone coming to us and saying, I've been thinking about the way you do X, I've got a great idea on how you can do it better, and I've got a bunch of people who want to help you do it. The panic that can cause a local authority is the number of services you have to line up to get that all in place is phenomenal. So that's the challenge that I'm sort of really keen to crack. And just just finding in terms of some of the some of the stuff I think we are really starting to make progress with in Camden. I talked about the example of Google. We're going to be working with them over the coming months to make better use of our data. But also actually we're starting, rather than just seeing engagement as sort of something set that we do in safe places when we already know the answers and already almost have all the options lined out, we're really starting, I think, to break new ground in terms of encouraging service areas who traditionally find this very uncomfortable. Basically, completely open up the whole way that they approach their challenging issues, and basically get residents together to act. We're really sort of starting to play around with this concept of hack days and hack events, and you're tapping into the talent of the universities, the talent of our sort of our analysts, our professionals in Camden.